Hi, hi. You have a few more minutes. Not a few more minutes, a couple more minutes. And then we're going to get going because it is cold outside, but it's a beautiful day, so we want to get out there. But we want to get this information in because it's something that I've been asked about that I want to make sure I share. Hi, Shirley. Sorry about the hat. My hair is not cut, and I refuse. It is gorgeous sitting inside in the sunny window. It is cold though. Hi, Mel. All right, we're going to give one more minute and then we're going to get started. We're going to be talking about a lot of the questions people have when you're at the store and, just trying to figure out what a lot of this stuff, organic versus conventional, et cetera, what it actually means. And a lot of times we get confused. A few more seconds. All right, let's get started. So we're going to make this a short one, but I want to talk about some of the confusion that people have about what organic is, what hybrids versus GMOs, et cetera. So we're good. Sitting tight on the farm, of course. Hopefully you're somewhere sitting down being safe as well. So the first thing is people say, well, regular groceries in the grocery store versus organic. What is the actual difference and how do I tell? We'll start with the grocery store and then we'll move to the garden. So if you're in a grocery store, the produce area, my understanding is that if you have a tag on the produce, so if it's a 4-digit number, it's conventionally produced. And we'll talk about what conventionally means. It may or may not be genetically modified. If it's 5 digits beginning with an 8, it is genetically modified. And if it's a 5-digit beginning with a 9, it is organic and not organically and not GMO. So, what is GMO? Hey sis, GMO, genetically modified, means that they have taken a gene and spliced it with another gene from another plant to get a particular characteristic that is desirable. There are a lot of I won't get into the argument about whether GMOs should be consumed or not, and the studies and all of that stuff, because that's a huge conversation that I won't get into now about those who say GMOs are perfectly fine and those who say that they are unsafe. That's not what we're discussing today. What we're discussing, hi Rod, what we're discussing today is how to figure out in a grocery store which one they are. So one thing that there are certain produce which, if they are not organic, anything that's labeled as organic at this point in time, according to the USDA, anything that is labeled organic cannot be genetically modified. It cannot be GMO. It cannot contain GMO, organisms. So if you buy organic, it's not GMO. If you buy things that are not GMO, there are some things that are more likely to be genetically modified if you buy conventional, regular, regular produce that's not labeled as organic. Tomatoes. It's something like 80 to 90% of tomatoes in the United States that are in grocery stores are genetically modified. So if you're buying tomatoes and it does not say either that it's organic or that it does not have a GMO-free or non-GMO label on it, chances are it's GMO. Whether or not that's okay with you is entirely up to you, but just to be aware of, of what some things are. I'm trying to think what else is typically GMO. You've got tomatoes, you've got quite a few carrots. You've got tomatoes is by far the biggest one. But now, because everybody's becoming more aware of GMO and making those decisions, companies are starting to label their products non-GMO. And so that helps a lot, even if they're conventionally grown. So what is conventional and organic? Conventional versus organic is about the way in which it's grown, not the plant itself, it's the way in which it's grown. If it is organic, that means that it has been grown with no GMOs, no pesticides, no chemical pesticides, and chemical herbicides, right? So, and no chemical fertilizers. So, for instance, a natural fertilizer like manures is perfectly organic, whereas, a synthetic chemical pesticide like Roundup is not considered natural and is not okay to be on the organic list. So if it is conventionally grown, that means they may have used any combination of those things. It also means that if it's conventionally grown, meaning it doesn't say conventional, it's just what you normally buy in the store. It doesn't say that it's organic or non-GMO, then it's conventional. And that means they may have used any number of those fertilizers, herbicides, or pesticides, and that's just a matter of whether it is a concern to you or not. And some things, to be honest, things like oranges, things like mangoes, if it's a matter of being sprayed, if it says non-GMO and it's a matter of pesticides and herbicides, but it's not genetically modified, some things are easier to wash off because you do not consume the skins of them. You're going to get a far less of those chemicals than something like a tomato where you're eating the skin, or cherries and things like that. So that's the difference. Conventional and organic is about the way in which it's grown. Now, when it comes to gardening, you have people get confused between what it means. Just because it's organic does not mean when you save that seed and replant it that it's going to give you the same plant. A plant can be a hybrid and still be organic. So the way that you get a hybrid is you can either, they can hand pollinate in a controlled way. They can literally just have two plants growing side by side, and the wind blows, the pollen transfers by wind, by bugs, by bees, and you get a hybrid that is a combination of those two parent plants, right? That is perfectly organic, and it happens in nature all the time. Being a hybrid does not mean it's not organic. You have hybrids that are GMO, but you have hybrids that are organic and are not genetically modified in a laboratory in a sense of gene splicing, other than what happens in nature. So don't be put off by the fact that something is a hybrid. They create hybrids in order to get characteristics that people are looking for. So those big juicy red tomatoes that look a particular way, or the cherry ones that look a particular way, or that survive up north, or that are earlier producing, those are characteristics. They might take tomato 1 and tomato 2 that have similar characteristics and let them cross pollinate so that you get that hybrid vigor. Whereas if you have an heirloom, and an heirloom seed or plant is usually something that is more than 20 years old, that is tried and true, if you will. Tried and true. Heirlooms, there are those who will argue heirlooms produce better than hybrids, and those who will argue that hybrids are produce better because they have hybrid vigor. However, hi, Danita. However, heirlooms have been around much longer, and the hybrids, often those characteristics that they're trying to get are natural disease resistance and natural pest resistance. So there's nothing wrong with a hybrid, but as we talked about in our seed saving, if you have a hybrid, when you go to save that seed, if it's it will bring it will grow. So if I grow hybrid tomatoes, um, and I save the seed, I'm going to get tomatoes. They probably won't be the tomatoes that I, the tomatoes that I thought I was getting that I got the first year, but they will still produce food. It just won't be that same. You'll probably get one of the two parent plants. Whereas heirloom seeds are, when you replant, when you save and replant that seed, you get that plant. It's been passed down generation to generation, that seed. And when you plant it, if I plant, Roma tomatoes, and I have my Romas and I've saved my seed for my sauce to grow the next year, and I plant that seed, I'm going to get Roma tomatoes. If I plant something like, I think Early Girl is the new hybrid tomato. If I grow these big, beautiful, lush tomatoes, and they can be organic or conventional, and I save that seed, I probably will not get that exact same tomato plant. You might get the parent plant, and it might be beautiful, tasty tomatoes, just not as early. So those are the differences. When it comes to open pollinated, like what does OP mean when you see it on a plant or on a website? Open pollinated simply means that it's pollinated, it is self-pollinating, meaning it doesn't have to be pollinated by anything else, or that it is pollinated by wind, by bugs, by, the pollen on the leaf being shaken, and they cross-pollinate that way. It doesn't have to be hand-pollinated by a person in order to produce. So it means that seed is stable. So hybrid seed over time can become stable if you by saving seed and redoing it, saving the best and redoing it every year, and it can become stable and open pollinated. Open pollinated seeds will, as you continue to replant them, adjust to your climate. That is the beauty of open pollinated seeds, is they will adjust to the climate that you're in over time. So if you're in, if you're in a home that you plan on staying in for some time, open pollinated is a fantastic idea. And most organics are usually, heirlooms are almost always open pollinated. That is why they're heirlooms. So organic versus conventional, that's a matter of preference about what the things that you care about. Heirloom versus hybrid is just a matter of tried and true versus the newfangled fancy versions. But the tried and true seeds you can save and get true to form. Hybrid, you will get parent plants when you save that seed and replant it. You're talking about after you've grown it and saved the seed. GMO simply means genetically modified. That's a matter of whether whichever side of the argument you want to be on about whether or not that's something you want to consume for you and your family. It's been genetically modified. There are a lot of studies out there for you to look into. But again, there are ways. Just go online. They'll tell you. I think we said if it starts with a 4-digit number, it's conventionally grown, and it may or may not be a hybrid. If it is, let me just pull that up again. If it is a 5-digit number beginning with 8, it is genetically modified. And if it is a 5-digit number beginning with 9, it is organic and not genetically modified. So that is what it's saying online. I believe also there's one that has a letter in front of it. But again, it's just a matter of preference and what you think is important. So what questions do you have for me? I know I just threw quite a lot at you, but I again, these little Q&As are mostly about getting the basic information out, and letting you ask me questions. So if you're looking to, if you know that you want to save seed, and you know that there are certain plants that you want to get organic heirloom, And it doesn't have to say heirloom. It just needs to not say hybrid. If you go to buy seed and it says F1, you know that that is a first generation hybrid. If it says F2, you know that it is a second generation hybrid. If you're not sure if the seed that you bought is a hybrid, you can just Google the name. And if they have the scientific name on the packet, use the scientific name, because a lot of times, when it says a name on the front, it can always be a nickname or just a fancy name to draw people's attention. But if you use the scientific name on the packet, it will tell you when you Google it whether or not it is a hybrid or not. But if you want to save seed, you want to try not to do hybrid. If you don't care about saving seed, then it doesn't matter. And when you go to use the grocery store produce in the store, it doesn't tell you whether or not it's a hybrid. It really is a bit of a crapshoot. If you're buying organic, even it could still be a hybrid. It could be an organic hybrid, and you still may not get that exact same plant. So just be aware of that. Just because you buy organic does not mean that it's not a hybrid. And that's okay if you just want to produce food, especially in the food security concerns that people have right now. You want to just produce food, that's fine. If you're looking for something more specific, you need to make sure that it is not a hybrid. And most of the seed companies, when you go to buy seed, they will tell you. It'll say right there on there. Usually it will say hybrid or heirloom. Or it won't say anything, but you know that at that point it's not a hybrid, because they usually label it for you. All right. If there are no more questions, I'm going to say have a good day. God bless. Don't forget to live life full out and keep gardening. All right. Oh, by the way, I've been asked to be a part of a series called Ask Assist a Farmer. Well, I believe it's May 3rd, so I will post that for you all as well when the time comes. So if it falls on one of our Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll probably take that as one of our sessions. I will post that information as soon as I have it. All right. Take care.